It is the essence of evil, the anchor that divides us. It is the terror that grows stronger when we try to hide. If we don't stop him tonight, maybe we'll find him tomorrow, or next Halloween, when the sun sets and someone is alone. You can't close your eyes and pretend he isn't there, because he is. Here's your look at the brand new Trick or Treat Studios Halloween Kills Michael Myers 1/6 scale figure. Trick or Treat Studios and Compass International Pictures are proud to present the official Halloween Kills Michael Myers 12-inch action figure. This amazing figure is 1/6 scale and has 30-plus points of articulation, so you can pose your figure for perfect display. The figure comes complete with 2 additional interchangeable hands, 4 in total, bloodied butcher knife, broken fluorescent tube, and crowbar accessory. The figure is fully clothed in screen-accurate costume with working zipper. In addition, the figure comes in a beautiful collector's box with flip-back window display. While the citizens of Haddonfield are convinced that evil dies tonight. That didn't get too old, did it? Trick or Treat Studios, on the other hand, are ensuring that evil lives on through their line of 6-scale Michael Myers figures, all of which we've looked at here on this channel. Now we're going to be having a look at the Halloween Kills Michael Myers. And speaking of Trick or Treat Studios, I'd also like to thank the folks over there that did provide this sample of the Halloween Kills Michael Myers, that we can have a look in this review. I will provide the link, as I have done before, in the video description if you guys are interested and would like to pick up this one for yourself. We're going to grab the tape measure also as well, just to see how tall the figure stands. And we're also going to bring in a couple of Michael Myers for comparisons. Not to get ahead of ourselves, though, the Halloween Kills Michael Myers seems to be just a little shorter than 12 inches. The figure, in fact, stands about 11 3/4 of an inch tall, or the figure's about almost 30 centimeters in height. I would guess the comparison that makes the most sense is to slide the one that we're about to have a look at from Halloween Kills and, in fact, bring in the one that we got from 2018's Halloween, also released from the folks over at Trick or Treat Studios. There's obviously a lot of similarities because Michael Myers uses the same mask as it continues to deteriorate. At least he has still fully the mask intact, unlike Rob Zombie's Michael Myers. We're going to talk about that in another review. But one thing you really can see, though, the difference between the two figures is obviously the masks have degraded quite a lot more with the Halloween Kills variety. But also, one thing I did really want to commend Trick or Treat Studios for doing is improving the coveralls. 2018 Michael Myers, while fine of a figure it was at the time, I still think it's a great looking figure. But I love the improvements that they've made on the coveralls. Not only is the material thicker, it kind of has more of a crispiness to it, along with Mikey himself. But also, I just think that the coloring of the coveralls also suits better Michael Myers from 2018. Almost to the point where I'm considering to get another Halloween Kills Michael Myers so I can use the same coveralls for the 2018 release as well. Jumping over to the figure's accessories, and actually we've been doing a lot of Michael Myers reviews as of late here on this channel. But one thing I would say about the Halloween Kills Michael Myers is he gets a lot more accessories than the already looked at H2O and the already looked at Halloween Resurrection Michael Myers, which, to really mark off the things that came included with those figures, were just only swapped out hands, and of course they included butcher knife. Michael also still includes the butcher knife with this release, but he includes a whole lot more as well. While we're certainly on the topic, I suppose, of talking about butcher knives, let's have a look at the one that actually comes included with the figure. Now, this one, obviously, Michael's been busy. He's been hacking, he's been slashing. You can see there's a lot of blood that's settled on the blade. And by the way that the blood is actually splashed across the blade, almost looks as if Michael's been hacking this way, not necessarily bludgeoning anybody. The knives, once again, to the credit of Trick or Treat Studios, they seem to be using, once again, a softer plastic. So if you did have any issues with the earlier looked at knives where they would be prone to break right around there, none of the newer knives seem to have that problem at all. They're using much softer, much more forgiving plastic. I'm glad to see that they are making improvements like this. The hands, obviously, for holding the knife aren't necessarily going to be the one that's missing the fingers, those hands over there. Actually, he does technically come with 2 variations of the hand for that side. But if you want him specifically to hold the knife or any one of the other accessories, Michael Myers comes with a very bloody, very dirtied hand. You can see there's blood, and the way that the blood is shiny like this makes me think he's been busy recently. You can see like the blood is even settled across the nails. The hand, the palm itself is very dirty. Just a cool looking hand. Just the attention to detail and the amount of paint that they applied to just this hand alone. Not to mention the other things that also, I feel like with Michael Myers here, with the Halloween Kills at least release, they really went all out when it came to the paint applications. And you'll see what I mean in a moment. But obviously with this hand, this is the hand for best holding the knife. You can just simply take the handle and fit it in between the fingers and, of course, the palm. And it does do a pretty good job of holding it. The knife's not going to fall out of his hands. Obviously, it's a little harder to decide right away which hand or which accessories you'd want to have displayed with the figure because, again, he has so many other things. Let's put this to the side for right now. The figure also comes included with that crowbar that you see at the beginning of the movie when the firefighters unfortunately go back to the Strode home in order to save whoever they think is inside. Well, Laurie's not there. She's long gone. Unfortunately, who they end up finding inside is a Michael Myers that's trapped in the cellar. Well, unfortunately, Michael Myers then proceeds to use one of these weapons, these crowbar weapons, and he ends up just slaughtering all of the firefighters. I think the story was that they actually brought in real firefighters for that scene. I mean, if I was a firefighter, I would just love to have been in that scene, even if it was short-lived, even if my time on screen was very limited. I love the idea that they actually included the crowbar. The crowbar itself looks like it's been molded here in silver plastic. And of course, you can see there's a lot of blood there. It looks like there's almost even bloodied fingerprints on the actual handle portion. Some blood on the end, fork end of it, and then also the actual crowbar part. It looks like, again, been generously soaked in blood. This, again, can be fit into his hand. We'll have to pull out the knife for right now. I find it's actually the easiest to get it into his hand by just prying the fingers just a little bit away from the palm. And then just enough, actually, that you can then get that crowbar in there. I'm actually kind of torn whether I'd want to use to display the crowbar in his hand or if I'm going to display him with a fluorescent bulb. Wait, he comes with a fluorescent bulb? Yes, he does. But that's what he looks like, basically, with the crowbar in his hand. And yeah, again, you're going to swap those hands out in a moment. The other thing that can go into his hand, again, I already mentioned, the figure comes included with the fluorescent tube, the fluorescent light. I remember changing this once when I was really early into my job sites. Somebody had actually asked me if I could go downstairs and change out a fluorescent bulb. Well, stupid me, I ended up putting my finger right onto the end of the plug, and I actually proceeded to electrocute myself. Obviously, by the fact I'm still talking, you guys know I still survived. I would say, unfortunately, electrocuting would be the easiest thing and the easiest way to die. I would hate to be bludgeoned by the end of a fluorescent bulb. Michael Myers literally just walks into a kitchen, smashes the bulb, and then proceeds to bludgeon his victim. You can see, like, there's a lot of this cool blood just on the end of the fluorescent tube, or well, what's left of it at least. And like the knife and like the crowbar, it fits well into his hand. Very easily, in fact. It's not going to go anywhere. The last thing that the figure comes included with, he comes included with a bloodied, once again, very used bat. The bat looks like, I mean, he's just beat. I think Tommy is the one that eventually gets the bat, doesn't he? I mean, the bat looks, you can just see it's been stained with crimson. The blood runs pretty far up the bat as well. And you can see there's all these cool little splash marks that they put on there as well. I don't know if necessarily I would be displaying Michael Myers with the bat. I think at the bat, I think Tommy right away, but most definitely between the crowbar and the fluorescent tube, I'm really honestly torn as to how I would display the figure. One thing also, when it comes to displaying the figure also comes included with the wrapped up bandaged hand. Oh, Michael, I think you're going to have to do a little bit more than just bandaging up a hand. You may even want to go to a hospital, but what you can do is just take the existing figure hand. Now, I'm just going to remove this for right now. Fairly easy, in fact, to remove the hands from the pegs. Just unpeg them from the pegs. Put the figure down here for a second. I wanted to show you at least what the stock hand looks like. It's a gnarly looking hand. Of course, he does have the two fingers blown right off. The night is just a continuation of the 2018. So you can see, like, the wound he inflicts is still pretty fresh. The hands themselves look pretty sweaty, look pretty grimy. And again, you can just see how wet and how badly damaged Michael Myers is on those two fingers. But if you want to have a little bit of time where Michael Myers stops to bandage himself up, the hands themselves look to be the same, other than this one just has the wrapped up bandages. I'm not really sure which route to go. I kind of like the idea that using the one that actually has the bandages because it just brings a little bit more to the table. Anyways, to swap the hands out, I'm just going to go back to, I'm going to use this hand for right now. I'm going to roll up the sleeve here on Michael, and we're going to go ahead and plug that into place. Just like that. Pretty easy, in fact. And while we're also on the topic of that, you can also go ahead and the other hand that he comes included with is a relaxed hand. That's not going to be good for anything. We're going to go ahead and just unplug that for right now, remove it, replace it with the gripping hand, because definitely I'm going to be displaying this guy with something to hurt somebody. Going to be good for that. Getting a closer look, though, at Michael Myers' head. What a fantastic head this is. Now, I am one that likes to have my Michael Myers mask more clean, where you don't know, first of all, his age, and you don't know any damage. Well, first of all, you don't see any damage to his mask. So the new trilogy certainly does deviate a little bit away from what I like from a design standpoint for Michael Myers' mask. And yet, I got to say, not only does the mask look scary, honestly, in Halloween Kills, but I think that Trick or Treat Studios, to carry that over to a 6-scale figure, not only do I think it's better than the 2018 release that we got before, but I mean, it might even be one of my favorite head sculpts that we've gotten from the Trick or Treat Michael Myers line. And I am throwing that into the mix with the H2O we just recently had a look at. I'm certainly throwing that also into the mix with the Dick Warlock Michael Myers, and even the recently looked at Halloween Curse of Michael Myers. This mask definitely has one thing going for it: a lot more paint. You can see on one side, not only is shinier, but it's a lot more charred. Michael Myers, can only imagine what his face looks like underneath. For all the times he loses his mask in the trilogy is laughable. But you can see on one side just how burnt that mask is, to the point even where his ear is almost melted completely away. What's left there is of hair, you can see, has also been scalded. You can see on the top, it's a lot more shinier, as certainly would be the case, I would imagine, if the mask would start to melt in real life. This would be essentially what the mask would look like. He has a little gash there on the one side of his face. But I just wanted to bring back in the 2018 Michael Myers so you can see the difference between the two. Again, it was a fine figure head sculpt at the time, and it still really is. But one thing that this one does a lot better is the application of paint. This one did have still paint, and it still looks like a great-looking head sculpt. But one thing that the Kills mask does do is bring all this appreciated yellow to the way they've painted the mask. You can still see his eye, although in this case, you can see like the eye is just as dead as the 2018 release. But I love the coloring that they went with on this. Definitely a better, at least I feel, a better head sculpt of the two figures that we've gotten from Trick or Treat, at least of the new trilogy. We have yet to get ourselves a Halloween Ends, but I'm sure with following suit, if they've already done a 2018 and they've already done a Halloween Kills, they're likely going to be releasing a Halloween Ends. Whatever feelings somebody may have about Halloween Ends. Let's go ahead and move the... Actually, you know what? Before we actually move the figure away, I wanted to go back and talk about the coveralls. The coveralls on Halloween Kills Michael Myers, by far, is my favorite that they've done so far with the Michael Myers line. Not only do I think the coloring is faded, as it should normally be with Michael Myers from the trilogy, but I find like the material, too, feels like coarser. There's a crispiness also that they've added to it, obviously with holes that he's inflicted. A couple little bullet holes there, but it's just like wear and tear that he's got here on the coveralls. But I like the coloring already a lot more than 2018. The 2018 was good. It was more of a darker blue, granted, but I like the more lighter coloring that they went with for the Halloween Kills Michael Myers. And it's just, again, it feels like a more roughed up coveralls. If not for the fact it does have the bullet holes, which again, I might just overlook that idea, and for the fact obviously there's some wear and tear to the top of his one area of his torso, I'm almost even considering the idea of getting a second one of these so that I can then use the coveralls that came included with this Michael Myers and use it for this one. While it was fine, the material that they used before, he does have more of a squared off torso, very squared off in the shoulders, where this Michael Myers, you can see with his coveralls a little bit more rounded. They fit to his body a lot more. Michael, obviously, in the trilogy, too, is a lot older in his years. So I think like the suit looks better on this figure. It sort of just looks like it's draped on his body, where this one looks like he's almost even living in it. Love the coloring of the coveralls, though. Just going to put this figure down here for a second, because we already had a look at that Michael. Again, you've got the zipper that works the exact same way as the other one. And in fact, all the Michael Myers, their zippers work exactly the same way. It's depending to you as to how far down you want to have that zipper. I don't know if I would go that far down. I might want to just bring it up a little bit. Now, I've noticed on mine, at least, I'm going to have to see if I can work away the zipper. The zipper on mine is just a little more hung up. I don't know if the teeth are caught on this. I'm going to have to see. It might be a little bit of fabric that's caught in there. But I can't quite zip the zipper up any further than what I've got right now. And I certainly don't want to break it. Michael does have pockets there, somewhat serviceable pockets on either side. And he also does have pockets there on the front that actually you can put stuff into. I don't really know what you would really put into Michael Myers' pocket. Not that I would even consider the idea of getting that close to Michael Myers in the first place. But again, I really like the material here. The coloring is good. The coloring is faded. But also like the kind of material that they ended up using here, I feel is an improvement on what we got from the 2018 release. Obviously, as we get a little bit further down, as we looked at all the other Michael Myers before, one thing also that we always look at is his boots, his footwear. Now, his boots are a little bit more brown than the traditional black that we're used to seeing with the other Michael Myers we've looked at so far. You can see as well the way they've laced up the laces. There's some nice silver that they've added there as well. And on the bottoms of the feet, it almost looks like he's got a little bit of blood there. Not maybe as much on this side, but certainly a little bit of blood there. I don't know if he's stomped on somebody's head. Oh, maybe he did. For the articulation, though, on Michael Myers from Halloween Kills, let's start again with his head sculpt. Again, I could probably spend some time just to talk about how good and how much I like this head. Even again, for somebody putting my hand really high up behind the camera, I am somebody that likes a clean-looking Michael Myers, and yet I really like the look of this one, especially in a 6-scale format. Anyways, for the articulation, I'm getting ahead of myself. The ball joint, obviously, in the neck works the exact same way as all the other Michael we looked at before. Look, again, just how you got the little blood that runs down the side of his neck. Such a good head. But the head does have a ball joint, so obviously it does look down, it does look up, and obviously you can rock it back and forth as well. The arms are still going to be something that's limited, though. With all these Michael Myers I've looked at here on this channel, it seems to only be the case where I can get them out at about 45 degrees. And this one doesn't look like I can get it any further out than that. The arms still manage to move forward. You can still move them back. There is no swivel once again in the bicep. This seems to be molded again to the shoulder. It doesn't look like there's a swivel point right there, but you can most definitely swivel at the forearm. The figure does have what only seems to be a single hinge in the elbow, but at least the hands do rotate all the way around. The upper torso of Michael Myers is once again on a ball joint, so you can very generously rotate the figure all the way around, or you can have like varying degrees of how you want to have the figure displayed. Legs do once again split out. That's as far as you probably would be able to get them. You can take the legs and move them also forward, and you also move them back. And with all the other Michael Myers, there always tends to be a swivel at the top of the thigh, and this one is no different. The figure does still possess a double hinge on the knee. While bending the knee, of course, you want to just make sure you're bending it the right way. When I took this guy out of the packaging, only on mine, I noticed that the leg was rotated this way. So when I went to bend the knee immediately, I'm like, wait a minute. Something's stopping me from doing this. And then I realized I had to just kind of rotate the knee. I think it was more so the fact that the top of the thigh had the knee slightly turned the wrong way, or a little bit more, I guess it was going this way. I wasn't able to bend it right away. Then for the feet, even though the feet are encased in plastic, you can still manage to bend the feet up, down, and of course you can also rock them back and forth as well. What a fine-looking figure, which is, again, somewhat ironic for me to be even saying that, too, because I am not a fan of the new Halloween trilogy. Not a fan. I would almost even say I liked Halloween Kills of all the three. Halloween 2018, which, again, will bring in the Michael Myers that came included for that release. Halloween 2018 deviated too far away from the idea. I liked canon. I like the idea of keeping all the movies in canon as best as we can. Keeping the sibling thing, I'm not going to deviate too far from that discussion of it, but I think that the sibling angle should have made the most sense, especially when you have Laurie Strode waiting out Michael Myers' release for 40 years. I'm not going to talk too much more about that. But I actually liked Halloween Kills. I think of all the three films, Halloween Kills was my favorite. Michael Myers was brutal in that movie, killing anyone and everyone that stood in his way. And when we come to an actual 6-scale release from the folks over at Trick or Treat Studios, like Halloween Kills being my favorite of the trilogy, and even though I can't really speak yet for Halloween Ends Michael Myers, but you know what's going to happen. I think so far my favorite of the new trilogy is the Halloween Kills Michael Myers. Not only the paint better on the mask, but the coveralls are not only the best coveralls from the new trilogy, but they also might be the best coveralls that we've gotten from a Michael Myers 6-scale figure thus far. Because Trick or Treat Studios did beef up the accessories that go along with Halloween Kills Michael Myers, it does also increase the price of what this guy goes for. With the Halloween H2O and the Halloween Resurrection Michael Myers, they were 1 penny short of being $160. They were $159.99. And for $159.99, considering that those figures only had swapped out hands and of course the butcher knife, it could justify why the price was lower on those two figures. This Michael Myers does have swappable hands, yes, but he does also have a lot more accessories going for him. He has, of course, the go-to, tried-and-true butcher knife, but he also comes included with a fluorescent bulb. He also comes included with a firefighter's crowbar, and he also comes included with the bats. Evil dies tonight. So I think that justifies the $40 difference in why this guy is a little bit more than those other two Michael Myers. Not to mention as well, look at the amount of paint that they managed to put into Michael Myers' mask. And that's coming from somebody that usually doesn't like the design of the new trilogy Michael Myers, because the Michael Myers mask looks aged. I always like the idea of Michael Myers looking ageless. A clean, pristine, chalk white mask was always my go-to when it came to Michael Myers. So the new trilogy thing, while not really being my cup of tea, does actually make for a really nice looking figure when you have this guy on your shelf. The one thing I also really like that I think this figure does better than the 2018 release, as already mentioned in the review, is the coveralls. The coveralls are one of the best, if not the best, coveralls that we've gotten with any of the Michael Myers figures, to the point where I'm really considering wanting to get a second pair of these, or getting myself another Michael Myers, just so I can use these coveralls with the 2018 release that we got before. Yes, there's bullet holes on the back. Yes, there's a little bit more wear to the material that they've used, but I do like the coveralls a lot more on this release versus the 2018 release. I wish they could almost even sell the coveralls separately, or even sell some of the masks separately, so that if you had the chance and you wanted to pick up your Michael Myers and do a little customization with them, Trick or Treat Studios could then sell those things as separate parts. I don't really know what the licensing entails, whether they have to sell the figures as complete figures, but I would definitely be on board to get another set of the coveralls at least, to swap them out with the Michael Myers that we got before, because these are by far the best coveralls I think we've ever gotten from the Michael Myers that we've gotten so far, at least. What do you guys think of Halloween Kills Michael Myers? Let me know down below in the comment section. It actually, funny enough, works out this way, that this is my favorite figure of the trilogy we've gotten thus far. I would imagine, I mean, if we already got the two movie Michael Myers, that I'm sure down the road we are going to be getting ourselves a Halloween Ends Michael Myers. I don't know. I'm sure the figure is going to be a lot better than the movie itself. Maybe we may even get ourselves a Corey Cunningham. I don't think that's likely going to happen. But ironically enough, this is my favorite figure of the trilogy. It is also my favorite movie of the trilogy. Didn't like 2018 because it deviated away from the idea of the sibling angle. It made no sense for me that Laurie Strode would be waiting out 40 years for a guy she confronted in 1978. And I hated Halloween Ends. Halloween Kills was kind of a nice balance, and Michael Myers in that movie, admittingly, was just brutal. Favorite figure from the trilogy, favorite movie from the trilogy as well. Once again, a big thank you to the folks over at Trick or Treat Studios that did provide this sample of the Halloween Kills Michael Myers. We can have a look at this review. If, by the way, you guys are interested and would like to add this one to your collection, I can provide the link down below in the video description. I can also do one better by throwing in a coupon in there as well. So if you guys would like to save a little bit of Myers money, you can also do that when using the checkout system over on their website. And while we have wrapped up things right now for at least stuff from Trick or Treat Studios, there's going to definitely be a lot more videos coming away. The key to making sure that you're not missing out on anything, first of all, if you don't mind, if you enjoyed this video, why not throw it a like? But more crucially to that, if you are a new time viewer, if you just stumbled onto this channel maybe with this video and you haven't had yet the chance to do so, make sure you hit the subscribe button down below, and that you're also turning on the bell notification, because that way at least you're going to get those notifications every single time a new video posts. It may not always be Michael Myers, but at least you'll always get those notifications. Definitely going to be a lot more videos coming your way, guys. So as always, thanks for watching. See you guys next time.